evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ladles and jelly spoons, that old corky was saying. Yes, I'm still experimenting with how to hold my phone up. I should get one of those little spider things. So today's live is brought to you by my gym session this morning. I was asked by someone, "So Sam, what do you do?" And I had an absolute brain freeze because over the last few years, what I do has changed so much. And the way we talk about ourselves in what we do, full stop, has changed. Very rarely now do we, evening Johnny, very rarely now do we get, I'm a teacher, I'm a graphic designer, I'm a priest, I'm a chef. Most times people want to hear more. So we have, over the years, the phrases have been coined an elevator pitch, which was designed pretty much so you could get from somewhere to somewhere in a building, telling someone what you did and keeping them intrigued. So we want to, I fumbled this morning, a little bit like I am now, really. I went, oh God, okay, well, what is it I do? And it made me think of this quote from Absolutely Fabulous, that amazing show. And in it, Eddie says to Bubbles, "What is it you do, Bubbles?" And Bubbles goes, "What I do? I don't really know." And I just remember that. And I had a Google and looked for a meme to show you guys, but couldn't find one. But I just remember that. I don't really know. So in the last week, for example, for me, I've done financial controlling stuff. I've coached a couple of people. I've performed in a show. I've done a photo shoot. I'm working on producing another show. I've done a lot of writing. I've been a mum. I've been a friend. I've been a sister, auntie, all those kind of things. There's so much that goes into what I do. And so sometimes it is, I don't really know. But I wanted to talk about this elevator pitch, get back to it, because I need to do some work on mine. I absolutely need to get back to doing some work on mine. So before, when I was younger, I used to go, yeah, I'm a singer. Then I went through a phase where I was a sales manager. I had that accounting phase. God knows how that happened. Do I look like an accountant? Sorry to all the accountants out there, just not my cup of tea anymore. So I wanted to talk about how you do it, because it's not just about business. Like, we get asked as a friend, so what do you do? And for some women who are stay-at-home mums, for example, they get really embarrassed. Some of them get embarrassed and they don't want to talk about it because they feel they don't do something, which is just bullshit, They might spend their day wrestling 9-year-old triplet boys. Now, that's a big job, and you could make your elevator pitch on what you do on that pretty freaking funny, So when someone does ask you, the goal is really to show them a little bit about who you are and what you do without bombarding them with information and boring them senseless, because that's not the point, okay? So you want to not talk too much. You want to make it relevant to them. You want to talk more about the problems that you solve rather than how you do it, because Uber, for example, when they were probably first starting to talk about Uber, the problem was getting people, all of these cars being made useful by getting people from A to B, creating a new business. If they'd said, oh, well, we want to develop an app that people can log in and then they push a button and then they'll be able to get someone to come and pick them up and that person will then take them somewhere else. People have signed out by then, okay? So you want to make it relevant and snappy, that whole elevator 30-second thing. A USP if you've got one. If you don't know what that is, it's a unique service proposition or a unique sales position, sometimes people say. You want to maybe talk about your target market. So if you are a wedding celebrant, for example, and you only do weddings where people like getting dressed up in country and western clothes, I've really come up with random things. Then you're probably not going to want to do a big pitch in a lift talking to someone who wants to have a wedding on a harbour. So find out a little bit about them before you actually go into it. You might also want to start asking questions, find out what the other person does and if you can relate what you do to what they do. I actually also recommend not having a particular script. I think there's a few words you need to have to get out exactly what you do, unlike myself this morning at the gym. But then you want to modify it depending on who you're with and the situation that you're actually in. Being in a networking function is going to be really different to being at a mum's lunch, which is going to be different to being in a boozy cocktail bar. So you need to have fluidity in there and don't be completely on script, because people then see that as really fake and they're not going to want to work with you or be your friend if you're doing an elevator pitch on a friendship. Because we kind of have to do that as well, you know? Like, if you're on a date or meeting someone who could be a friend for the first time, you're giving them your elevator pitch. Like, they're deciding within 30 seconds if they want to, you know, go to the next sentence with you. And that elevator pitch it's kind of like speed dating on speed. Like, it's snappy. I can only click with one hand. You've got to get in there and get out quickly. Some people say in elevator pitches, you should give some of your financials and talk about, like, the great financials that you've achieved in business, etc., or talk a little about your team. I don't think that's necessary. I think that's only really necessary if you're trying to do a big pitch to like a VC firm or something, not just a snappy what I do. Another way to get around it is, if you're getting a bit confuddled, which I possibly could have done this morning, is talk about what you do in a day. So a VA, for example, someone says, what do you do? I'm a VA. A lot of people aren't going to know what a VA is. But if they say, well, I spent the first half of my day creating graphics for a client, then I did some proofreading, I typeset some documents, I worked on a funnel. You could do it, you could muck it up, embellish it that way to get people more interested, which is a great thing. You want to make elevator pitches conversational, I think. I don't think they should be one-sided and scripted, as I said, because it's boring as batshit. So there's lots of generators online. I just had a Google. You can actually like type in a couple of words. And I did, back in my full-on business coaching days, I had a couple of worksheets that you could go through in order to craft your elevator pitch. I'm actually going to go back and work on mine because it does need work. And this morning I ended up saying, you know, what do I do? I entertain, educate, and empower people. And I do that through various methods: coaching, speaking, performing, and producing events that are going to enlighten people in some way. So that kind of came out at the end of it, but I did get an schmozzle to start with. So I need to do some work on that. And I encourage you all to do the same. Like, what do you do? What do you do for work? What do you do for social life? What do you do with your friends? All of those things where if you do or don't agree with it, we're on display 24/7. So our whole life is like an audition. You are meeting someone at a networking event, you're meeting someone at a restaurant, you're talking to someone in a coffee shop. It's all, you know, that's your audition. That's your moment. So come up with something to describe you and what you do that's going to make them feel great for having met you. So I'm going to work on mine and I'm going to post it later when I've finished it. And not get too blurby about it. Like, ooh, and Charlie says hi. She came for cuddles again. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for watching.